happy face.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hello. I think we want to do a voice check.
Yes.
Going to get started in just a few minutes. Please be patient. It's amazing to see so many of you here. How do we sound, Strawberry?
You are good. Kyle, can you hear me?
Absolutely. How's this?
Okay, Roxy,
How is this?
Patch,
Working.
Philip, Philip, can you hear us?
Phil just stepped away for a second.
Okay. And Signal, you sound good. And we just lost syntax. There we go.
Barry, your mic's a little bit staticky.
Yeah, I think I'm having issues, but I won't be talking. Don't worry.
There's no need for a chat relay. We can see chat from all regions because the chat range is extended.
Syntax, can you hear us?
We can't hear you, Syntax.
I am back. Can you hear me now?
Yay! All right, 2 minutes to go. We are almost here. The time is really close. How are we sounding? How are we looking? Why, thank you. I love fishing for compliments. All right. Let's get to this. I am super excited to welcome you to this community roundtable. We've got a lot of people. I love fishing for that are here because we have a lot of things to talk about. We've got a ton of questions. Please forgive us. There's no chance that we will get to all of your questions, but we did get to read them all. We will also be taking questions live, but obviously we won't be able to get to all of those either. So let me go through some boring expectations. We will be monitoring text chat. We won't be able to respond to all the questions in real time. We know this format has limitations, but we try to mix things up, and we'll try to address as much as we can for the topics that come up, both in chat and in pre-submitted questions. Voice is on, but please, please, please keep your mic muted, and please limit the loud gestures. So that we can all hear each other and enjoy the conversation. We will call on you at designated times if you'd like to ask your questions in voice. That will totally work as well. So, earlier this week, we invited the community to submit their questions in advance. So we'll start by talking about some things that we have brought. Then we will start with the questions that have been pre-submitted, and we'll try to include some of the questions coming up in chat. Since this is a roundtable format, please mute your mics. Please mute your mics. S'il vous plaît, mute your mics. All right. This is a roundtable format, so we're not just here to respond. We're also here to take your real-time feedback and ideas on how to improve Second Life. And a few reminders before we start. Individual account issues should go to the support portal. We also have a feedback portal. There may be many questions that we can't answer if they're more appropriate for another Linden member or team. We encourage you to attend one of our many recurring user group meetings. There's a full list on our wiki. And as we get started, one more reminder. Please mute your mic. All right, let's start with introductions. I'll actually make a very easy introduction. I'd like to give a huge, big welcome to Second Life founder, Philip Rosedale.
Thank you.
It is wonderful to have you here. I've heard you have some news to share or something.
I certainly do. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. It's been 5 months since I came back to the lab full-time, and I'm our CTO, and I've been having, obviously there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of exciting moments, but I've been having a lot of fun doing that job again, and so I'm very happy to be back, and thank you for having me, and thank you, Grumpy, for introducing me. The first thing I'd like to start with in the context of a town hall is welcoming the protest signs that I see here with regard to AI. Thank you, everyone who is protesting about AI, for bringing that perspective to the stage here. In fact, because I think AI is such a material concern and such an important issue overall, let me suggest, after seeing all these signs, that we will do a separate meeting, and that meeting will be a debate and discussion regarding AI. So we'll figure out how to organize that soon so that we can give the stage not just to the Lindens, but to everybody with respect to, talk more about what to do with AI. I have worked in my lab for the last couple of years on a variety of different AI-related projects, and I respect the complexity of the discussion, and I'm glad that we're bringing it up here. So prepare your thoughts for that. What do you want to do with respect to AI? Bring some specific recommendations and be prepared to debate it at that event. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. I love the signs. I'm getting pictures. So the next thing, so what we're going to do today, as Grumpity said, is we're going to present a rough roadmap for the work, the software development work that we're doing in 2025 this year. And as Grumpity said, after we give that overview, we're going to respond to both pre-submitted and live questions and discuss it. And of course, we're going to change, that which we're about to say based on what we hear. We will continue to have roadmap sessions like these on at least a quarterly basis. So you can expect a second one in the second quarter. So the very first high-level area of focus that we're going to start with has been what many of you have probably heard about, which is the project called Project Zero. And on stage today, I'd like to introduce the two leads that are working on Project Zero, and those are Roxy Linden and Syntax Linden. Hello, Roxy. Hello, Syntax. They're going to be here to answer questions about Project Zero and the work that we're doing there, and take a bunch of the questions that have already been asked later. But it's such a pleasure to have you both here, and it's such an exciting project. So the first thing we're going to do with respect to Project Zero is kind of fun, because we have a new update to it that we're going to introduce to you today in a really fun way. And I think I'll make that update first, and then we'll come back and touch on Project Zero more broadly. So the update is, as of like right now, in another minute or so, we're going to post a link into the chat. And that link will allow you to try out Firestorm streaming in the browser. So we're bringing Firestorm, your favorite Second Life viewer, to the browser, and we are doing that. We have been doing that in close collaboration with the Firestorm team. And I would also like to say a tremendous thank you to that team, who has worked a great deal on this, getting it working with us, and has been incredibly helpful. I think I see Worley in the audience somewhere there. Thank you, Worley, for all the work and support that you've provided to us on Firestorm Zero, as we call it internally. So Firestorm in the browser is going to be accessible to you right now. Because we're still testing it, the thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a number of access passes to Firestorm available to everybody right now at a very low cost, so that we can get people actually going through the process of using Firestorm in the browser, trying it out, seeing how it works. And we'd love to have people jump in and try it as soon as you like. There are a lot of avatars here, so if you jump out and try to come back with Firestorm Zero to this meeting, I don't know what'll happen. That's a good test. You'll be testing the top end of how many avatars we can render on those machines. But without further ado, let me tell you the link and put it into the chat. Maybe Syntax or Roxy, you could do the honor. There we go. So this is the link, Second Life News, second.life/news 031425. Strawberry is going to copy that into the live stream for people that are watching. And that is a link that will allow you to purchase for 250 Linden dollars, so about $1, 5 hours of access to Second Life through the Firestorm Project Zero viewer. So give it a try. We're really, really excited to try it out. Of course, there will be bugs. This is the first release, but we have been doing everything we can to make it work as well as possible, and we've all been using it pretty much every day. And so it's a lot of fun. Nadir, thanks for the too many people playing thing. We will be riding that number. It should be okay. So yes, 250 Linden dollars for 5 hours. And we, as I've discussed in other events, we don't know exactly what the long-term cost of using Second Life or Firestorm in the browser will be. we mentioned in a meeting the other day that it currently costs Linden Lab about $1.75 per hour to provide access to Second Life, either through Project Zero or through Firestorm Zero. It is obviously not at this point cheap, and we are, as you can tell from the first offer here, certainly not making money on it. That said, as we've discussed at other events, making Second Life accessible in the browser is one of our major initiatives. Our thinking on that is there are many more people wanting to use Second Life than have gaming machines sufficiently powerful to use it. And unfortunately, the number of those machines is gradually declining worldwide as the PC becomes a less popular way of accessing the internet. And so for that reason, we feel that there must be many more people wanting to use Second Life that are able to, or that would be willing to use it directly through a browser rather than, through a appropriately GPU-enabled machine. And so for that reason, we've been working on making Second Life directly available through the browser. As you see today, we're doing that in two different ways. For people that are using Second Life already or have used it in the past, we're providing Firestorm because, of course, Firestorm is the most common way we all use Second Life. In fact, most everybody here is probably on Firestorm right now. For people that are coming in brand new, we're building a new interface that is simpler, as many people here have discussed and suggested various things in the past, and we're using the ability to access from the browser. We're using that ability both as a means of making Second Life more accessible to people that don't have the GPU and whatnot, but also as a way of rapidly being able to experiment with a number of different UI ideas that will hopefully make Second Life more accessible to a new user. Unlike in the past when we've done this, you can, of course, always use the full interface of Firestorm or, for that matter, Second Life. And so we're not refactoring Second Life irreversibly for everybody. We're keeping it precisely the comfortable, set of UI controls that you have today. But we're trying to add these new methods of accessing it. So that's the first announcement. Second Life in the browser. That's also a major initiative for us this year, is to just gradually get more and more people able to access Second Life directly from the browser. Maybe a final point on that, I'm sure we'll have some questions, is that we also believe that due to large-scale changes in the world and in cloud computing, we're pretty certain that the cost of providing access to Second Life is going to continue to come down dramatically. The reason for that, to a certain extent, and this is appropriate for the AI science here, AI has the enthusiasm of the world for experimenting with AI has a side effect, which is that it's made GPUs a lot less expensive. GPUs being a lot less expensive makes it cheaper and cheaper for us to provide Second Life. And so once the sort of cost of providing it drops low enough, we can just provide it to everybody in the browser. And of course, buying a GPU is still an option. If you've got a killer GPU like a 4090 or I think I'm on a 3080 right now, you'll want to use that one. It'll still give you better performance, especially with tons and tons of people in one place. But the option to use it in the browser is going to allow us to expand the reach of Second Life and grow our population. So that's all for browser-based Second Life. We'll come back with some questions on that. Thank you very much for everybody, and I hope you're getting a chance to give it a try in the next few days. I'm going to turn it over now to Grumpity to talk about our second major initiative. Grumpity.
Well, thank you, Philip. First of all, I just want to congratulate the Project Zero team. The amount of progress and in such a short time has just been fantastic. It's been wonderful to watch. And just a huge shout out to everyone who has been working on this project. It must look easy when you just go, oh, it's just running in the browser. But the team has gone through so many iterations, and I know there's a lot ahead, but this is a moment to celebrate. Speaking of things that we are excited about and that are moving forward and making strides, our second area of focus is the mobile app. It has been, it has been quite a journey, and the amount of interest and engagement that we've seen from our existing residents on mobile has been fantastic. As an added bonus, we're seeing just a steady and consistent organic interest in mobile from new users who are not existing Second Life residents. And we did not build, those of you who are on the mobile app, you know, we didn't really build an app for new users quite yet. We are hoping to build a companion app, but quite clearly, we're also hoping to build an app that will grow Second Life. And so our focus is on supporting all of you and being able to use mobile for all the things you want to do while you're on your phone and yet still in Second Life. But also, it's a very different set of things that a person coming into Second Life for the very first time needs to be able to do. So we're trying to be in all places at once, which is not easy, but is super exciting. The team is going really, really, really fast and doing our best really to fix bugs and put out features. And so if you haven't checked out the app in a little while, you should give it a go. Something is always changing, and we are also fixing a lot of bugs pretty much daily. So update your app, check it out. And then, of course, there are various opportunities to win. And we also have login rewards that are still running for our subscribers. All of those things are pretty cool, and I hope you tuned in yesterday to the live stream when we gave away Linden dollars to those who completed the challenge in the first week of the Mobile Millions Challenge. It was very fun. There's going to be another live stream next week. We'll see you there. So all these new developments and new stuff that we're building is super fun. But if you're here, you probably know that Second Life isn't perfect. It's got some problems. And really, there's some long-standing usability problems that are somewhat painful. And we are focusing on addressing. Can't fix all of Second Life, and fix lag can go on a t-shirt. Lag is made up of so many things, it's a little complex. But there's a few usability problems that we really need to address. And we really want avatars to load quickly and not be naked and not look broken. We don't want your clothes floating out in space perpendicular to your body. We don't want you to end up accidentally naked if you didn't mean to be naked. We don't want your skin to be turned inside out until it loads correctly, etc. Really, Second Life is a social platform, as all of us being here together clearly illustrates, and we want it to be a pleasant social experience. So that's one. Another one is to speed up the startup time for all viewers. This, of course, improves everyone's experience, but especially people new to Second Life are unlikely to be willing to stick around as the startup experience is loading. And then I think this one is Philip's favorite, so I don't know, maybe you want to expound on it a little bit more, Philip, but riding in a vehicle with friends across region borders should be an easy and positive experience. Nobody should be thrown out. Nobody should be dislodged from the vehicle, lose their friends. I don't know what we will complain about after we do all of that, Philip.
Thanks, Grumpy. Like I said, I was taken on I've actually been taken on a couple of wonderful rides through the mainland lately, which has just been fantastic. Boating, driving, flying, taking a pod ride the last week. And of course, yes, like Grumpy said, I have been experiencing the horror of being, teleported into oblivion and having to follow a cryptic ritual to return to the vehicle I was in when I cross a region. So we are going to tackle that.
Awesome. Well, after we're done fixing Second Life, what are we going to work on next, Philip?
Well, the other thing to be, to put a finer point on what Grumpy said, these usability problems, you'll notice that we're moving to closer to a monthly tempo on our server and client releases. Signal can perhaps talk to that a little bit when we come around to Signal. As we look at those releases, we're looking at always having a major initiative and a usability problem, improvement in each of those releases. So hold us to that and wait and see what we do there. We think right now the three that Grumpy just said feel like the largest block areas for usability problems. We, of course, are also doing smaller things like the many things that are in the feedback portal, where you can see we've now been keeping that more up to date. The things that are planned, in progress, and just completed are now much more accurate in that on that website. And so look for both these large-scale initiatives like avatars not being broken, as well as things that are in the feedback portal being the things that are getting into this faster release tempo. So as Grumpy said, the next major area of focus for us, where we have done some work and we're going to finish it. One of the reasons why we've been a little slower on it is that Roxy, who's here with us today, has been the lead on both Project Zero as well as WebRTC, which is what I wanted to touch on. As many people have asked about, we're going to get WebRTC shipped soon. We've brought on some additional help to help us do that. We are going to get it out. Roxy has been, as I said, quite distracted for the last couple of months with Project Zero, but we've definitely got radar lock on how to get WebRTC pushed to the whole grid. We will do that safely and incrementally. As you know, as many of you know, some regions are already enabled for WebRTC. We'll probably do things like let people add their own regions. I've for example, added my home region to WebRTC yesterday. But we are going to switch over to WebRTC. That means you're going to have a better voice experience. You're going to have significantly lower latency when you're using voice chat. That is, if you say 1, 2, 3, 4 back and forth with somebody, you'll see it's much nicer, much closer to like a Zoom call or a phone call. Actually, I hope it'll be better than your typical cell phone call. And once we get WebRTC launched and replace the existing system we're using, which as some know is the Vivox system, that's a service provided by Unity. Once we switch over to WebRTC, it's going to allow us to rapidly do some major improvements to accessibility that I know many people here have been wanting. One of those is captioning. So if you're using voice, we'll be able to caption your voice and present those captions, as if you were watching a YouTube video with captions on. A second thing following on that is language translation. As folks know, we've had language translation in Second Life for a long time, but it's excruciatingly difficult to use. You basically need to be a developer and have, Google keys and things like that. We're going to fix that and work on using AI technology, by the way, because of course AI technology is required for translation these days. But we think that we can add language translation. We can probably add new voice changing options because we will be in complete control of the source code. We're also going to do the work that we need to do to allow voice to be on everywhere, but to be controlled correctly by the parcel owners. So moderation and griefing by voice. We're going to also, at the same time as we launch or before we launch, do the work required so that you can control who's hearing and who's able to use voice near you. So that I think is about it on that. That's our plan on WebRTC. And then speaking of ways to communicate with us beyond voice, let me ask Patch to make an announcement about an upcoming thing. Patch?
Yeah, sure. I've actually seen some folks chatting about it. We're going to be opening the Second Life official community Discord server to everybody to be able to join. That'll be happening beginning of next week. We'll kick the doors open. We'll have everybody come in. You'll be able to use Discord Connect to connect your Second Life account to your Discord account. And we've got a great array of channels in there for folks who've been in there. You maybe have seen some of the changes and such being made in there, and kind of the channel reorganization to get it ready. But we're excited, and we look forward to being able to leverage Discord to communicate with folks and the ways that Discord allows us to do. So we're excited. With that, Signal, I think you might have some stuff about some content creation updates coming soon.
Yeah, I do. And I am really excited about being able to use Discord to talk. I know that we have a lot of conversation in there already, and I'm excited to see everyone be able to jump in to talk with Lyndon's, talk about new features that we're working on. So thank you. Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about content creation, something that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure near and dear to everyone's hearts here. Last week we released a new version of the official Second Life client, and that included some new features and performance improvements, bug fixes, crash fixes. Notably, we have introduced basically like a version of Invisiprims back to Second Life for PBR. So we're calling these water exclusion surfaces. They allow you to basically not render the water surface. So if you want to hollow out, a boat or something like that, you can do that. That's pretty cool. We've also got a setting that allows you to limit the maximum resolution that your viewer uses. So if you have VRAM problems with your computer, you can limit that to 1024 or something like that. Should help there. And those features are also incorporated in Firestorm's beta, so if you want to try that out, you're welcome to do that as well. I do have something that I would like to announce, which is that we're introducing a new version of scripting to Second Life. I'm just going to go out and say it. In another lifetime, before I was engineering director, I used to pay my rent scripting content in Second Life. You can do so much with Linden scripting language, LSL, but it's also very limiting. It's not really a full programming language. There's a certain number of ways to manipulate data. We have every time we need to update it, we need to do everything ourselves. So it's a kind of a maintenance nightmare. And I've seen terrible, terrible things done with lists, which are kind of how we store data. But we're introducing a new scripting language based on Lua. We're calling this the word Slua, which really rolls off the tongue. It's based on Luau, which is from Roblox, open source project that is pretty cool. And so it's important to note that you can try this now on the beta grid using a project viewer, but it's an alpha, so expect sharp edges. Like the performance right now is not going to be as good as it is when it's released on production, because we have a lot of debugging information, a lot of developer tooling kind of integrated into it, which is intentionally slowing it down. But it is still exciting because you can do all of these crazy things, and we've exposed the entire LSL API to Slua. So all the functions that you can use with LSL, you can use with Slua now. So if you want to try that out, you can download the project viewer from our alternative viewers page, and then log into Aditi. We have some instructions on a blog post, which I'll post in a little bit. And you can go check out the Slua regions and then start programming. We've got some folks on there already creating crazy cool things. Yeah. But going on, further in the roadmap, we've been a little bit reflective about making big changes. Philip mentioned that we wanted to release things more frequently on a monthly cadence. That's something that I think is really important, especially if you're someone who contributes to Second Life. Helps make our software better by writing code and contributing to us on GitHub, that if you make changes, we want to get those out quickly. And so, yeah, we do want to move to a faster cadence where we're releasing things, hopefully on like a monthly basis for both the viewer and the server. If it takes years to develop something without it being usable for everyone, then we're doing something wrong. So Doesn't mean we're not going to do big projects, but we just want to be able to release something meaningful on a regular cadence so that we can get important features into your hands. So as an example, we know that Blender is going to be deprecating support for Collada in a forthcoming release. And if you're not familiar with that, Collada is how people upload mesh to Second Life right now. It's the only method that you can use for uploading mesh. There is kind of like this grand plan for allowing you to import GLTF content into Second Life. That plan is still there, but we do want to introduce a stopgap solution that will allow you to upload GLTF through the existing model upload window. So that way you can still use Blender, you can upload as, export as GLTF, you can get a model into Second Life really easily. We think that change is going to be practical since we can get it done rather quickly and allow people to upload content. I know that, sometimes I try to just wipe my mind blank and imagine what it's like to upload content for Second Life. And a lot of times I hit a lot of barriers with a lot of quirky formats and stuff like that. And I think this will really eliminate that barrier for models, or at least help with that in a major way. So in terms of improving our cadence for releasing new versions of the viewer, we're also looking to improve our open source development process. So this is, the folks that are helping us make changes to the open source Second Life viewer. Gaines Linden has been working on a proposal to make contributing to Second Life source code more modern and streamlined. We want your help to make Second Life better. And so if you're a software developer or someone that can help with translations, or we want to make that process as nice as possible. And so that if you do contribute to us, you'll see your changes go out really quickly. So yeah, I think I've talked a little bit, and we'll hand it back.
Thanks, Signal. Grumpity, shall we get into questions?
Right.
People are successfully logging into Firestorm Zero. Thank you. Exciting. We've sold a bunch of those tickets already. I think we've sold about Yeah, I know we're monitoring. I think we sold about 100. Thanks everybody. So we've sold about 500 user hours so far. Keep it coming and give it a try. We're really appreciative of everybody giving it a try.
So
we also updated the message of the day, I think, just now. So if you're on Firestorm or Second Life, Firestorm folks put up a message of the day that'll give you a link to try it out.
Awesome. Well, this leads us directly into a bunch of questions that I have to ask about this Firestorm Zero streaming as well.
Yeah, despite the fact that Firestorm is, of course, wonderfully open source and which is benefit to all of us. No, we've been working very closely with the Firestorm team, but actually, over the last few months, we've been working really well with the Firestorm team on the main viewer as well. Just also really working together to get performance improvements and fix some of the problems we had last year on Firestorm and that we had and that Firestorm released. So we've been working pretty closely in general, and yeah, this putting Firestorm on Project Zero has been a close collaboration from both teams. So again, thank you to everybody on the Firestorm team for being as kind and quick moving as you have been to get this up and running.
Hear, hear. Okay, I've got a question for Syntax. Syntax, this pricing of $250 Linden dollars, is that going to stick around forever? Syntax?
Syntax.
Uh-oh. He ran
Somebody
off
said we had a
with
voice.
Linden dollars.
We had a voice break. Exactly. Since Syntax has absconded with the early results from the sale of tickets.
All right. Well, Philip, perhaps you could tell me what is going on with this amazing price. So that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's an unusually good deal. We expect that the cost, which is currently, as I said earlier, close to $2 an hour for delivering streaming. As a side note, for those who are technical and into this stuff, we're sort of using the most expensive single machine per streamer Windows machines right now in Amazon's service. Their service is actually called GameLift. It's actually just announcing right now there are many other service providers that do similar things. And at my old company, High Fidelity, we actually implemented a streaming system. So we believe that the price will continue to come down quite rapidly. As I see folks here saying, there are certainly people that the price will make sense for now. As we can bring it down and down and down, I think it'll become something that hopefully becomes a rounding error at some point. But we wanted to do this lower one-time opportunity to anticipate the price that we think costs will come down on. I just saw a question, by the way, Sarah, thank you. Can you create stuff in it? Not presently, but we will be able to get that working. That is to say, can you upload, for example, a texture into Project Zero or Firestorm Zero? The answer presently is no, but we will get that turned on. There's not a technical reason why we can't, so it'll be in the list of work we do. Okay, back to you, Grumpy.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, let's try syntax again. Voice check.
Can you hear me?
Yay! Okay.
Okay.
I've got another question for you. What does this mean for the original Project Zero?
Okay. Yeah, that is a great question. So we talked about Project Zero back in the beginning of January, and the plan is still the same. Project Zero is sort of a separate product from the Firestorm Zero. So you can still access Project Zero for free by going to the exact same URL, which is zero.secondlife.com. And we still are providing access to new users as well. So the plan hasn't changed there, and our roadmap still remains the same from what we talked about in January. So we're currently still working on a new simplified UI, which is going to kind of introduce a modern web-based UI with, basic features like chat navigation, sort of kind of like how we were inspired by the mobile client. And we're working on a collaborative redesign, so working with our content developers to modernize complex features like HUDs and avatar customization. So the plan still remains the same. It's just that we wanted to be able to provide access to Firestorm for users who want to be able to use it. So Project Zero you can still access today at the same link that it's always been, and it's still free. Just two different separate products.
All right, that's pretty amazing. So I saw some comments that not everyone likes to use Firestorm. You don't have to. And we continue to be an open source product in an open source universe. And you can use whatever viewer you would like, especially if it's in the approved TPV directory. All right, Roxy, do we have you? And can I use it on my phone or on my tablets?
Yes, you have me.
Yay!
Yay. Hi, everyone. So we have done some experiments with trying it on the phone. And, honestly, because of the UI differences between a mobile device and a desktop device, we have this great mobile product. I wanted to give props to that. But, yes, it does stream to mobile devices and, and tablets and such. And if there is interest, we can definitely look into expanding that. There are some issues with text input right now, although if you have a keyboard on your mobile device, that should be okay. But yes, I think you can use it. Back to you, Grumpy.
That's super exciting. I will actually go do that now. Well, okay, not right now. First, I think we'll finish this meeting. I didn't realize I could use it on my iPad yet, but I'm going to try it out. So what are the technical specs and what are the performance characteristics of this offering?
All right, so just like with mobile devices, the great thing is about Firestorm Zero, you can actually use it on, what some people call a toaster or a potato, a lower power machine, an older machine. As long as you can stream things like Google Meets and such, it uses the same technology, WebRTC, you should be able to use Firestorm Zero. And generally that means you need a dual core processor, 2 gigabytes of RAM, you need Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or Edge. Although, we may have some sharp edges to file off there. And you need an internet connection that's, about 3 megabytes per second down. And up, you don't need even close to that much. So it will work on, of course, Hardline. But I've used it over tethering on my phone. And that works good too. So, back to you, Grumpy.
Wonderful. Last question. What about voice? Is voice supported? I know we're excited about voice.
I think there's some people here using it, but yes, Freebox Voice is supported. We're still having some nits to work out with WebRTC Voice because there appears to be some interactions, but that will be supported when we roll that out. It should be pretty much the same as you have with the desktop client as far as voice goes.
That is fantastic. Thank you. I, for one, am really excited. And I will frivolously abuse my position and use P0 all the time if I can get access to it. Right. We have a ton of community submitted questions. I hope all of you weren't expecting to wrap up at the scheduled time. So let's get right into it. The very first one, Philip, is for you. And it says, look, I understand that Philip loves his AI and thinks it's the future, but I don't understand the insane push and force of it in Second Life. Will AI rally around a creator when their pet is sick? Will AI support people when their parent dies? What do you have to say to that, Philip?
I love that question and how it's phrased. I think, as I touched on earlier, AI means an increasingly large set of things. I mentioned earlier, for example, that AI is used to do language translation. I suspect that most people here would like us to use AI for language translation. On the other hand, as you say, AI, avatars that are living in the world brings up a very different set of considerations. Chief among those is, in the extent that Second Life is open, and is generally designed to be a system where people can make their own choices, for example, about content creation. How does AI fit into that? And I think in that regard, we'll have a separate town hall, and we'll talk about it. What if we didn't want AI in the world? What would that mean? Do we all have to take a Voight Comp test every few days, or what do we do? But I welcome the opportunity to talk about that more, and I definitely respect the complexity of it. There's a lot to it. I think the other mention here is AI exists on stolen data. That argument, of course, is one that's going on in the world big time right now, right? Like, to what extent does the common crawl, which is the internet as we know it today, to what extent should that be used for training AIs? I again appreciate the complexity of that debate, and I look forward to the world stage answering it, perhaps country by country as we figure out what everybody feels. I think it's fair that it's a fair and appropriate discussion. I think the separate issues in a virtual world of why or whether you use AI, say, to be a person in that world is extraordinarily interesting, and perhaps a conversation that's more uniquely ours to have as the preeminent virtual world with adults in it doing all kinds of different things and building all kinds of different things. So I think that I hope that we can actually be a town hall and a forum in which good conversation and progress can be made about AI, as I think we've been in many different ways over the years. So thanks. It's a great question. Next one.
Thank you. And I look forward to participating in that town hall. I am sure it's going to bring all the fire of a Second Life community. All right, Patch, I've got one for you. Please increase the number of support staff. The number of tickets that have been pending affects the growth of businesses in SL, and it makes creators and businesses try to figure out ways how they can rely on Second Life to pay their real bills. put on?
Yeah, so this has been a little bit of a thing and a challenge. We restructured the team back last fall. The restructure didn't include big cuts, but we did have to retract a little bit of the times in which we provide support away from the weekends, and we know that was a painful thing to do. But that on top of a lot of additional support load that has actually been coming in through things like the Tilia transition and other areas of concern, I think folks, kind of become aware of the fact that, there's these folks spamming groups with, links that do bad things and such. We're trying to stay on top of all of that the best we can. And it's all creating, additional support load. Well, that said, what I'm really pleased to announce is that we're growing the team, and actually starting this Monday coming up, I have 7 new people starting with us, and that is across both the support team and the trust and safety team. And I actually have several more coming after that. With that, my intention is to bring back weekend support, maybe even expand our hours a little bit. We'll see. I don't know if I can go that far, but definitely. We're going to make some really big strides here after these folks come in and we get them trained and everything. It does take a little bit of time to get them ramped up and start to make some headway.
That is wonderful news, and I just want to give a shout out to the support teams. They have been working super extra hard to help and clear the backlog. And I know it's been a slog, and they are just so appreciated. Please be nice to them, and remember that they are on your side, and they are on our side too, because we are all in this boat together. This is great news. Thank you, Patch. I've got one for Philip. It is a long one. So it says, over the past few years, I've noticed that European users are disappearing more and more. Is P0 aimed exclusively at American English-speaking users, or are there also efforts to get more Europeans interested in Second Life again?
So that's a great question. As you probably know, Second Life has always been heavily global, with lots of people using it from Europe. There are, complex things like exchange rates and the economies, and in fact, even the, difference in economies between, different countries. We operate out of the United States as a business, and so we bear our costs there, and so we're somewhat affected by, for example, the exchange rate, tariffs, of course, as everybody's talking about now, and everything else. That said, Project Zero in particular is something that'll work very well for European users. It won't right now. If you're logging in from Europe right now and trying out Firestorm Zero, you'll see that you'll have a little bit of controller lag. We've already been sort of testing that from the folks that have helped us test it that are there. That is to say, like if you're dragging a window or you're dragging an object in the world, you'll see a little bit of lag, which is introduced by the network delay. That said, as I mentioned before, you'll probably see asset loading, avatar loading, and teleports actually working faster in Project Zero across the board, even if, and actually I think especially if you're in a farther away place from the west coast of the United States, which is where our servers are. We can use Amazon's streaming service from a variety of different global endpoints, including, of course, Europe. The first one that we'll probably try as soon as we can and let people give a shot. Yeah, thanks, Worley. I see your note there saying the input lag's not too bad. We'll let people try in Europe. There is an endpoint in, I think, Ireland that we'll probably test from first, and we'll do that soon to better support it. But generally speaking, unless I'm kind of out of date on the stats, the United States continues to be a minority population, as are all individual countries in Second Life. And I'm very happy with Second Life being as substantially global as it is. And I think it's all the more important that it continue to be that way. And in fact, grow the sort of uniformity of its presentation to people. There are many more, debates about that than we could have here. It's things like, for example, what legal policies do we use? What countries should those attach to? What happens if two different countries have different legal policies? There's obviously a lot of complexity that we're on the front lines of. But at a high level, I'd rather grow Second Life across the world equally than ever try to grow it more in one country. Thanks.
Thank you, Philip. And yeah, I would agree. I spent a lot of time looking at Second Life data, and I haven't seen something that would suggest a disproportionate drop overall in usage across Europe, although, of course, there could be some localized changes that aren't visible in kind of the aggregate data. And I absolutely acknowledge that the difference in cost and taxation can be affecting our European residents disproportionately. But that's why we have the Linden dollar to unite us all. Okay. I have one for syntax. Seeing that we experience a lot of account hacking already on Second Life, and the fact that MFA is not working on either marketplace nor on the dashboard login, will that be part of the browser login, and will it be rolled out to all websites?
Hey, yeah, great question. So yes, we actually do now support MFA on the web. So if you are going on Marketplace, or if you're going on the dashboard or something like that, you can enable multi-factor authentication. Same system that we use for the viewer, and it'll allow you to put in the 2FA code to prevent someone from taking access to your account who's not supposed to have it. So there's an extra layer of protection now for people who are, specifically maybe a merchant, and someone might get access to your password and username and then try to log in through the web. You can be protected now on both the viewer and on the web. And for people who are wondering, yes, MFA is supported for the streaming viewer as well. So when you go to log in at 0.secondlife.com or on the Firestorm version, and if you have MFA enabled, which you can do by going to the dashboard, it's going to prompt you for a 2FA code, which you can then punch in. And that is available right now. So you can just go in right now and turn that on.
This is excellent. Thank you. And let me use this opportunity to encourage all of you to enable MFA. It is absolutely the best way to protect your account, in addition to, changing your password at least once every 10 years or so, especially if it's been leaked on the internet, or you're reusing it everywhere and then it's been leaked on the internet. Just enable MFA. You probably have real money in your account. Yes, the rollout of MFA to Marketplace and Dashboard is really, really new. We knew this was a problem. We apologize that it took so long. And it's out now. So thank you. Hey, Patch, I got one for you. It has to do with the DMCA process and what happens to a business if there's a DMCA filed against them and then they're cleared of any wrongdoing. Does that account get cleared of any red flags it may have received in the process?
Well, yeah. After the legal team does their investigation, and if they conclude that the evidence puts them in a specific position of saying that this isn't what we suspect or what was reported to have happened with whatever the DMCA was filed on, then yes, that's pretty much the end of it. The case gets closed, and there's no per se red flags or anything like that left on the account. We don't presume or accumulate marks, as it were, for those sorts of issues.
Wonderful, thank you, and that is great news. Hey, Signal, I got one for you. You haven't had any questions in a little bit. Will there be continued focus on improving performance, specifically on Mac?
Yeah, so we are generally looking to improve performance. A lot of the changes that were in the most recent release last week focus on that, improving basically render probe performance and lighting and PBR performance. And we'll be getting more performance fixes in the next release. But specific to Mac, we do have an internal candidate for native Mac Silicon support. So if you're not a Mac user, Mac has this new architecture for their devices, their computers, and native performance, or natively compiling the Second Life viewer for that will allow much better performance. Kind of like anecdotally, I've seen a big boost of frame rate when running it on an M2 MacBook Air. It's always impressive that these things can run Second Life so well, even emulated, but natively, you get great performance on some relatively inexpensive hardware, or hardware that is kind of a few years old already. We're going to be putting out a project viewer for that, and that may have limited functionality initially. We essentially need to rebuild all of the third-party libraries. We've had help from contributors on that, and then we need to solve a couple of problems which may prohibit you from viewing nav mesh specifically. But most of the functionality should be there when we release this beta. So look forward to that in the coming months. Thanks.
That is fantastic news, and I'm very excited for it. I have a few more questions, and then I would like to jump to some questions that we've been getting from the audience during this meeting as well. How about this one for you, Philip? Can we be assured that the Project Zero effort will remain focused on offering full-featured viewers capable of content creation and not diluted by developing another easy-entry content consumption client in addition to the mobile viewer? That's not to say that the mobile viewer can never become web accessible, but if Project Zero itself diverges, the engineering complexity explodes and the probability of success plummets.
Yep.
What do you think?
Like we thank you. Like we said earlier, we're just going to do both. So as we just demonstrated by releasing Firestorm in its current full UI over streaming, we're going to continue to provide streaming access to full-featured clients, as well as internally in Project Zero to continue redesigning the user interface. By the way, a couple things about that's kind of fun to report. I'll just, it's too early to really report statistics on that, but let me be a little tempted here and say that we have already seen for new users, for new residents coming to Second Life, that their ability to log in to Second Life and get started is many times, let me just leave it at many times higher than downloading and installing the viewer, as we thought. So there are lots of people trying to use Second Life that are not able to use it, and we are able to confirm that by kind of A/B testing, providing them access to the Project Zero client. So that is really good news for content creators, for example, because it means that we can get more people in here. As I said, we have to take a calibrated use Second Life there. It could be the case that everybody in the world that wants to use Second Life also has a great NVIDIA card, but again, it doesn't seem likely or logical to assume that. So we're already seeing really good output on that. For the people trying, and going back to the question, no, we're going to provide full-featured access, and we're going to experiment with new ways of accessing Second Life for new users, but without forcing existing users to change the way they use Second Life. I think one of the things that we did that was dumbest historically that I look back on, and I was there, I was at 100% at fault for this, was forgetting that Second Life's interface is so complicated that changing it, even if you improve it, but force people to relearn a new UI, you're in many cases harming them. Like even if your improvements are good, it doesn't really matter if you have to relearn a new interface. And so in the future, what we're doing and what we're doing right now demonstratively is we're always preserving your UI for the people that have already learned the UI, but we're going to try out new UIs with new people. In that regard, if you're one of the people here who has gone through in the last, month or so, you will already have seen work to that extent. So, for example, when you start Second Life, before it, kind of while it's logging in, you see what we call internally the Go menu, which is 12 destinations that you can choose as the place where you want to start your Second Life. So, that's an example of a UI change that we're able to deploy, monitor, run statistics against, and measure whether it's working or not in terms of getting people started. So I think we're going to get our peanut butter and chocolate at the same time here, and we're going to be able to rapidly play with new UIs that get people into the world while preserving the full UI for everybody else, even if they want to use it in the browser. Thanks, Grumpy.
Thank you. Yes, and one of the things I personally am excited about is our ability to rapidly experiment on what is going to be the most successful for new users coming in, and making changes on the viewer and immediately seeing how they affect the experience. It's practically my pipe dream. Okay, one more from the pre-submitted questions. And it is this: SL offers one of the best revenue models for creators, yet it doesn't currently have the same mainstream recognition as platforms like Roblox or Fortnite, despite taking a much smaller cut from creators' earnings. Why doesn't Linden Lab actively position SL as a serious income-generating platform for digital creators, despite being far more creator-friendly than other metaverse platforms? As someone who runs businesses in Second Life and a micro-learning platform in real life focused on monetizable skills, I've seen firsthand that many aspiring digital entrepreneurs and designers, especially Gen Z millennials, don't even know SL as a viable income source. They're blown away when I introduce them to it. Does Linden Lab have any plans to change this and position SL as a leading creator economy platform? And no, I didn't write this question myself to just feed it into the conversation. What do you think, Philip? Do we have any plans? Is there some sort of a thing we're doing next week? Oh, we lost Philip. Okay, well, guess what? I really did not write that question myself, but I can answer it. We are actually absolutely working in this direction, and we are, in fact, going to be attending and participating in Game Developers Conference in San Francisco next week. So if you happen to be around, we would like to
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
We have the power now. We're the only ones with a voice now.
I am under the water, please send help.
Everyone rush the stage. Oh shit, wait, you can actually walk on stage. I didn't know that. That's great. Everyone rush to the stage while their voice is down. This is our time to shine.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
We want universal basic income in Linden dollars.
That's the shit that drives me crazy.
Testing, testing.
Yay!
We can
So
hear
much
you right
better.
Testing,
Maybe.
return. Thank you.
Yes. Well, while voice was out, I asked a brilliant question, and I realized you crashed, Philip, and then I gave a brilliant answer, and I was so witty and on point, but nobody heard me because voice was out.
That's why you're here. Give it again, Grumpy. Give it again, or answer it
All
again,
right.
whichever you like.
I am going to ask the question
Don't
again.
kick me. I got banned or something.
I will ask the question again, and I will also paste it in chat. It was this. So offers one
There
of
we
the
go.
best revenue models for creators, yet it doesn't currently have the same mainstream recognition as platforms like Roblox or Fortnite, despite taking a much smaller cut from creators' earnings. And we're a serious active generating platform, but we don't tell creators about it. The skirt of the question, named Nescafe, I love the name, also runs a micro learning platform and tells creators about Second Life, and they're blown away. Do we plan to change this and position Second Life as a leading creator economy platform? And I swear I didn't write this question.
Exactly. So a couple things about that. One, we are now marketing again, as you may have heard or seen or debated or commented on or whatever. That marketing includes a number of different efforts, one of which is better describing the opportunity for content creators. There was a article just recently, I must say, I can't remember, I think it was, maybe it was originally published in VentureBeat, but it was actually comparing it was the likelihood of becoming a millionaire by creating content in Second Life versus Roblox. And it's an amazing answer. And basically the answer is Roblox is a lot more people, but Second Life puts out a lot of money per content creator, meaning that the answer is you're about 20 times more likely to become a millionaire in Second Life as compared to Roblox, even though Roblox is both larger and overall puts out a total amount of money to people that's somewhat more than Second Life. So it's a really good opportunity for content creators. We will figure out other ways to market that. An example of which is this coming week here in San Francisco is GDC, and we have a desk, a place at GDC where we will be marketing precisely that. The fact that we are a great place to make money as a content creator, and as the question said, we pride ourselves, and I think one of the key things about Second Life has been that it is a relatively low cost option in terms of fees and whatnot for content creators. You get to keep most of your money here, where in other systems that is not the case. So thanks, it's a great question.
That is a great question. Thank you. I've got one for Signal. Is there a way to automatically transfer and share messages from the phone app to other viewers like Firestorm? Main reason I do not use the phone app more is that I often receive important messages when I log in. So while on the phone app, if messages are received, those don't carry over to Firestorm, etc. If there's a way to share between the two platforms, I'd be on the phone app off and on all day. That was my thinking too, Signal. What are we going to do about this?
Oh gosh. Well, we are actually planning on implementing more chat persistence that will help you store your chat history, so you'll be able to view it across multiple platforms. It's going to require some work. on the back end, but the end result should be you should be able to get push notifications, respond to them in the push notification, be able to see your chat history and groups, and direct IMs first. It's in development project, and we're super excited for that. We know it's important because people use the mobile app for staying connected with folks. Whether you're laying back in bed or on the train or riding your bike or just want to be able to check your IMs from the couch. So that's the plan.
That is wonderful. And one of the reasons it's taking us a bit long is because we are considering all of the implications of encryption and security and storing your chat in the cloud, and data privacy, etc. We want to do this right. Wonderful. Okay, Patch, I've got one for you. People are loving all of the awesome things that Premium Plus subscribers get, and the new themes for Linden Homes that Premium Plus subscribers get. But Premium subscribers are feeling a little bit unloved because they haven't seen any new home themes. What do you have to say?
Well, we have a lot of premium themes, right? That's what we started with, and then Premium Plus came along, and we made a couple of Premium Plus home themes, and we've added a couple more to that really recently. Well, the good news is the next theme out is going to be a premium theme. So more premium homes coming soon with a lot of really cool features that we've never done before.
That sounds really cool. And I am really looking forward to that release. But seriously, I would like to slide in a note that we have also opened up a few 512 home themes for Plus subscribers. And if you are a Plus subscriber, you should check them out. You too could have a Linden home. Patch isn't going to tell you what theme is coming when and what the special features are until Patch is ready to tell you. So I'm pretty sure this is all you're going to get.
Well, they know it's Alpine something, but we'll just leave it there.
Okay.
Even though it's not all Alpine. It's the only other clue I'll give you.
All right. You have to live with the mystery. Hey, Philip, how much data will browser companies have access to in Second Life when users are logged in through a browser? And will they be able to sell that data, or is there a law?
Well, there isn't a law, but actually, maybe there is a law that I don't know about, or maybe there should be a law. But technically speaking, the use of Second Life through the browser doesn't put anything on the local browser. We don't store information on that browser, and as you may know, basically the way this works is that you're looking at a video stream of the world, and so nothing but the video, nothing but the pixels are coming down to your local computer, and so our direction here and what we've done so far prevents there from being like information that you could sort of scrape if you were a browser company, like you said. Another interesting point about that is that you also can't copy content if you're using Project Zero, Firestorm Zero, or Project Zero. The reason for that is that you don't get the information about the objects in the world at your browser, if you will. You only get the pixels of what they look like. And so things like copybotting can't be done through browser-based access. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that copybotting can't be done, once we have lots of people using Project Zero, because you could still use a client, that was doing that copying. But it's an interesting point to be made that generally speaking, the access through the browser is actually more secure with respect to your privacy in a number of ways. The other way it's more secure is that since you're accessing through our viewer in the cloud, it's kind of like a VPN. Because if somebody was, say, if you were playing parcel music or something, the IP address from which you would appear to be accessing that content is a machine in the Amazon cloud, not your home address. So it's a little bit like using a VPN. So I think it's a good thing for privacy overall And I think that's one of the reasons that, speaks well of using it that way. Thanks, Grumpy.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to hop over to some questions that came in as we were talking, and I will just fire them in all directions. Hey, Patch, can we get WebRTC voice on a region already?
Well, yeah. If you contact support, we can switch the region over to one of the server channels that runs WebRTC.
Awesome sauce. Hey, Signal, are we going to keep both scripting languages in SL, and how would that affect older scripts?
Yeah, the plan is to keep both, so you can still continue to write in LSL, and existing scripts will continue to work. Lua is going to be an addition, right? And so, never fear, we will not break content, or at least we will try very, very hard not to.
Never say never. We will try very hard not to break content, though. Hey, while we are here, what version of Lua is Lua compatible with? And is it just an LSL API integration or built within Lua?
So it's based on the Luau version of, which is basically a project derived from Lua. It is mostly compatible with Lua 5.1 with some additional functionality from other versions. There is a compatibility chart at luau.org, which actually shows what functionality it's compatible with regards to other Lua versions. And we've taken Luau and extended it to work with Second Life. So that's why it's called Slua, is because it's slightly different, right? We've made modifications so that works with Second Life. There's a lot of things that needed to be done to support moving scripts between regions. We basically have to take all the scripts inside your avatar or your vehicle and, serialize them down to data, pass them to the other server, spin them back up again, and do that really quickly. We think that there's some huge improvements that you're going to see from Lua specifically because the runtime or the amount of data that's required to store code is smaller with Slua. So that'll be cool. And the details, we have an FAQ page on why we made the choice we did on the wiki. If you search for Slua, or rather Lua FAQ, that has a bunch of questions, commonly asked questions and answers. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for that link to the Lua FAQ. Hey, Roxy, if we still have you, will Project Zero support other forms of input like the Space Mouse?
Okay, that's an interesting question. We will have to investigate that because the Space Mouse is pretty fancy. I do know that our streaming provider does provide support for controllers, so we can look into that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
What I heard Roxy say is maybe, and we'll see where it falls on the roadmap.
Yep. Exactly.
Thank you. All right. Cool. Here's a question from YouTube. Patch, I was told if you miss a payment, your avatar could get deleted. Is that true?
No, we don't delete avatars. If you miss a payment, you actually have a long period of time to get that corrected with us. Support can help with anything regarding that, and we'll give you your account back.
Nothing gets deleted. All right. How about this one for you, Philip? It's a tough one. Every streaming system has failed over the past years. What makes GameLift a safe bet for you guys?
There's a lot of reasons for that. One is that streaming systems have historically been laggy, and they've also been expensive. As I think I've seen folks mention, there have been services like, I think there's one called Shadow in Europe. I'm forgetting the name right now. I bet somebody will shout it out. It's like $40 a month or something to get access to the service. But I saw Crush just mention Google. Interestingly, though, the second reason, which speaks to Google Stadia, why, in my opinion, these game streaming services have generally been unsuccessful historically, is that the people the services offered are often like Twitch games. Google launched its Stadia product, to my amazement and horror, when they did this 5 years ago or whatever, as I believe Destiny was the first game that they launched, which is a full-on Twitch shooter. I have no idea why someone who already has a water-cooled PC to play Destiny would possibly want to play it with more lag in the browser. On the other hand, Second Life is something that is not particularly lag sensitive, as sadly we all know, or that is to say, it can work with lag, and is therefore much more potentially interesting to be streamed. So I think part of the issue is that games and latency tolerant or very low latency games have traditionally been the attempts at streaming, and that is it makes it unsurprising to me why it's failed. So I think there's a unique opportunity to transmit Second Life because of both the audience that's interested, people that are interested in using it over the browser but very likely don't have a GPU or a really fast GPU, the better tolerance for lag that an experience like this has. And as I said, the cost, both the drop in latency of the major networks and the cost in GPUs and the cloud. Once that GPU cost gets low enough that it's less than what we can all afford to use an experience like this, it suddenly will switch, and you'll start to see a lot of people using it. So that's sorry for the long answer, but it's a good question.
It's a great answer. Thank you. All right. We are over time, and this has been super fun, and we will never run out of questions to answer, which is fantastic. I would like to thank all of our panelists for coming and answering questions. And I would also like to say that we have something special planned for the end of this roundtable. So as we're coming to the close, we're actually going to head over on a field trip. This is something we do here at the lab as well when we have some in-world meetings and we're wrapping up. Sometimes we'll go on a field trip. Is there a cool place to see? Someone's got something prepared. We're all going to do something together. Maybe we'll all go to a club. Maybe we'll listen to some music. Maybe we'll go ride on some rides. Well, today we are going to head over to Mad P's latest free-to-play hunt. It is called Shadow Seekers, and it closes on March 17th. This is the Slurl. And I think it'll be super fun to go over there together. Please join us there. Let's see if we can uncover some paranormal mysteries together. It's going to be super fun. Again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your questions. It is such an honor to be able to engage and kind of do the slow format where we're all having a conversation together. Thank you for keeping your mics muted. That has also been very appreciated. We are really excited to be moving Second Life forward and bringing it to more platforms and opening it to more people. Philip, did you have any closing thoughts before we all head over to Mad P?
Thanks, everybody. I was just typing it. Thank you so much for coming and spending your time with us today. Thank you for taking the time to present thoughtful questions. Look forward to another one of these, as I mentioned, next quarter for continuing roadmap updates. And we will, as I mentioned at the beginning, we will plan another public discussion and debate, specifically around AI. Maybe we'll hold it right here, and so look forward to that announcement as well. And thank you, everybody. Thank you to the team. Thank you to Project Zero team, Roxy and Syntax here. Thank you to Worley and the Firestorm team for supporting us in this, and talk to everybody as well. And thank you for all the Res Day offers. I didn't even remember that it was my Res Day. How cool. And it's Pi Day. Wonderful. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Take care. Let's PP over to Mad P Adventure and check out Shadow Seekers.